everyone. Christos Voskres. Christ is risen. My name is Mrs. Leader, and I would like to welcome you to St. Josaphat Cathedral Virtual Sunday School. Well, today we are celebrating or marking the second Sunday of Easter, which is the Sunday that we dedicate to the myrrh-bearing women. And they are the women who came to the tomb to see Jesus after he was crucified. So in order to talk about them and how important they are, we need to kind of go back and reflect on the events of Good Friday, the day that Jesus was crucified, and then what happened after that. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's see if we can remember the story of Good Friday. So remember that Jesus was nailed to the cross and he died on the cross. Remember our icon here? Jesus was crucified and he died on the cross. And at that time of day, it was in the afternoon, and it was coming to be sunset. The sun was starting to go down, and it was the end of the day. And at that time, the time of Jesus, and even still to this day for Jews, they observe the Sabbath. And the Sabbath day is the holy day, and it starts at sundown on Friday and goes all the way to sundown on Saturday. So that's their holy day. And it was not proper to have Jesus still on the cross during the Sabbath day. So what were the disciples going to do? What were Jesus' followers supposed to do? They couldn't leave him up on the cross after he died. So a fellow named Joseph of Arimathea, went to the authorities, went to Pontius Pilate, and asked him if he could take down the body of Jesus from the cross, take Jesus down from the cross. And Pilate said he could. Now Joseph was a rich man. He was quite wealthy, and he had already done something very special for himself. He had prepared his own tomb, his own grave, for when he would die, whenever that would be. So at that time, they didn't really, dig a large hole in the ground. We learned from the Bible, from scripture, and the custom at the time was to kind of dig out a hole or a tomb, a small room in the rocks or in the side of a hill, and kind of dig it out. And then when someone passes away, or when Joseph was going to pass away, then his body would be placed there, and that would be his burial tomb. Now, Joseph had already prepared that for himself, but the time came, sundown of Good Friday, and he said, no, let's take Jesus' body down from the cross. And Joseph had already a very long linen shroud, a big, long, white, clean, brand new fabric, okay? And they wrapped Jesus' body. Remember, Jesus had died, and they wrapped his body in the shroud, and they placed him in Joseph's tomb. They placed Jesus in the tomb, and they were rushing. Remember, they had to do all of this before the sun went down. So they did that, and then the tomb was sealed, and it was they pushed a big stone, a big rock in front of the tomb, and the tomb was sealed. So the Sabbath goes by, that day that starts from Friday evening all the way to Saturday evening, the holy day. And then the new day begins Saturday evening and then goes into Sunday. So Sunday morning, this day we now call Easter Sunday, the day of Jesus' resurrection, what happened? What happened then? We talked a little bit about this last time with St. Thomas, remember? We know that that morning, the women, the followers of Jesus, many of them, maybe five or eight, not a huge amount of them, but some of Jesus' closest friends, the women, they went to the tomb and they were bringing with them myrrh and spices and oil, and that was a part of the burial tradition, the practice that would take place when someone would die, when they would pass away. They would prepare the body for burial. But because they were rushing so much on that Friday to take Jesus' body down, they didn't really have time to finish the process properly. So they went as soon as they could after the Sabbath, and they brought their spices and their myrrh and their oils to finish preparing the body. So I don't know, Olena, if you can zoom in. If you look, here's our icon of the myrrh-bearing women, and take a look. See? They're holding, I don't know, little jars or little bottles where they can pour the oils, the spices over Jesus' body. So that's kind of what they had in mind that Easter morning. So they were walking to the tomb and they were talking and they were saying to themselves, well, what's going to happen? How are we going to roll that big stone away? Because they knew that that tomb had been sealed. And they were talking amongst themselves as they were walking, and they said, how on earth are we going to be able to roll that big stone away? And when they got there, they were amazed because the stone had already been rolled away, and they were surprised. They couldn't believe it. They didn't understand. And they went inside because they wanted to see Jesus. He was in there. And what did they see? Did they see Jesus? Do you remember? No, Jesus was not there. But they did see, the Bible tells us, the scriptures tell us that they see a young man in a white garment or a white gown. And we understand that young man to be an angel. Okay, and they see the angel there, and what does the angel say to them? He says to them, first of all, don't be amazed. Don't be afraid. Don't be amazed. You're here looking for Jesus of Nazareth. He's not here. He has risen from the dead. He's not here. Go and tell Peter and all of the other disciples that Jesus is not here. He has risen from the dead, and that Jesus is gone ahead to Galilee where they were gathering to meet you there. And do you remember from last week? Remember, they were all gathered there, and sure enough, Jesus appeared to them, and they were then also amazed that they had actually seen Jesus risen from the dead. Remember Thomas? He wasn't there, and we call him Doubting Thomas because he said, no, I do not believe you until I see Jesus myself with my own eyes and see his wounds myself. So, going back to the myrrh-bearing women, here in our icon, here they are. There's our angel. And look, he's pointing, the angel is pointing to the shroud, that white linen shroud. And do we see Jesus anywhere? No, he's not there at all. And if we look at the icon, we can see the angel is See the wing? I love this part about the angel. See how his wing is kind of coming up like this, like the angel has just kind of swooped down. You know, he's a holy figure, and he's come down to be with the women, and he's saying, no, Jesus is not here. Go ahead. He will meet you. And he's pointing to the shroud, and look, the tomb. Okay, and we see that dark spot. That's that cave, that part that I was talking about, the little room that was hewn out of the rock. See the rocks? That dark spot. That's death. And we've seen this darkness before. I'm going to go back to my other icon. See that part down there? See that dark spot down there? Remember, that's sin. That is sin. That's that separation from God. And the darkness is there. And Jesus is triumphant over that darkness. And do you think we would find Jesus in the darkness? No. Remember, he burst open the gates of Hades, that dark place where sin and death is. And he rose from the dead, and he did that for us because he loves us very much. All right, so the myrrh-bearing women coming to prepare Jesus' body on that Easter morning, that Sunday morning, the angel saying, he's not here. Go tell everyone else of this good news that Jesus is risen from the dead. And that's what we celebrate during Easter, that Jesus did rise from the dead, that Jesus, who is God, his human body died and went here into the tomb. But Jesus is God, so he rose again, and we can see him, his disciples saw him, and we participate with Jesus in his life and love of the Father. So, as a craft, this is what we're going to do today. Is I've already kind of got something started, and I've got a few things here. We're going to do something that's going to look a little bit like this. And I've got my sheet. Oh, here it is. So here's kind of a template. We're going to do a tomb, okay? We're going to do the tomb where Jesus is not. And we've got some grass, the tomb, okay? And there's the inside part. And then the stone, the big stone that we have to roll away. Here's the, I guess it's kind of like a table or even a bench where they might have placed Jesus' body. And there's our shroud, the linen shroud. So that's the template that we're going to do. And I've already colored some of my pieces, and I'm going to glue them onto my orange piece of paper, which I like orange, so that's the color that I chose for today. So you need a glue stick, you need some crayons, which I have, and you're probably pretty good with scissors, but if you need help, you can get a parent to help you, or somebody who's older who knows how to do scissors, use scissors. Okay, I'm going to glue that on like that. I'm going to glue my grass as well. And I made my grass kind of green, obviously. Okay, but you can color your grass any color you want. I did green because that's kind of makes sense to me, but hey, whatever. You can do purple, you can do whatever you'd like. Here's my bench or my bed or the table. I put a little glue on there. Easy with the glue, not too much because it can be kind of messy. And I'm going to glue it right here, okay, inside like that. Okay, just like that. And here's my shroud. I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue on my shroud, just a little bit, not too much because you'll get it all over your fingers. And I'm going to glue it, put it right on top there. Remember in the story, the shroud is just laying in the tomb. That's all we see. We don't see Jesus, but we see just the shroud, just like that. See it here? Right there it is. And there's my shroud right there. But what about the stone? We still need the stone. So this is the tricky part. We're going to need to put the stone and we're going to need to roll it away. So how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, there are some dots there. You're going to line up the dots more or less. And you might need an adult to help you with this, or someone who is older. And you're going to take something that's sharp. So only do this with help. If you're a young person, okay, you need to be careful with this, and you're going to poke a hole right through the whole thing. And I hope I can do this. I didn't actually practice this. Okay, yeah. Don't poke your finger in the back like I just did. Don't do that. You don't want to hurt yourself. And make a hole all the way through. Now keep your fingers there. Don't let it go. Have you seen these things before? Oh boy, watch me try to open this here. These are called brads. It's one of these little things, and what you're gonna do, you might have some of these at home, you might not, and if you don't have something like that, you could use a paper clip or even a pipe cleaner. If you had some, or even string, you can be creative. And you put it through the hole like that, and then if you turn it over, these guys actually separate. And then you can press it flat like that, okay? You see how that looks? And then if I turn it around, what do I see? Can I roll the stone away? Yes, I can. And there's the empty tomb with the shroud. And can I roll it back without breaking my shroud? Yes, I can. So you'll be careful with that. I'm sure you can do it, something like that. Now, if you don't have, you can draw your own tomb. You can definitely draw your own tomb. You don't have to have anything fancy like this. You can draw it, cut it out yourself, color it, whatever colors you want to color it, that's fine. Now, what do we need? There's my Jesus, and I put 4 on a page. So I'll just kind of quickly cut this out. I'm not actually going to do a really super precise job on this, because I'm just going to give you the idea, and you can do this yourself. Again, you can draw your own Jesus if you want. Okay, but there's Jesus, okay? And you can put him out here, outside of the tomb. You can put him on a popsicle stick, and he can be walking to Galilee, okay, like we read about in scriptures. But is Jesus in the tomb? No, he's not. And that's the miracle of Easter. That's the beauty of Easter. All right, so the myrrh bearers, here's a coloring sheet for the myrrh bearers. They've got their oils and their spices. And we remember the myrrh bearers on this particular Sunday because they were part of the Easter story. They were the first ones to go to the tomb to see that Jesus wasn't there, that he was risen from the dead, and they were the ones who went to tell everyone else. So that's why we honor the myrrh-bearing women today, the second Sunday of Easter. So until next time, let's remember them, and remember that we still have a few more weeks to celebrate Easter, and we'll talk more about it next time.